Absolutely. So what excites me about Bitcoin Wealth is that it's a transparent on-chain system. We can actually track user growth, payment flows, and how the contract operates. The mechanics are working as advertised. You need to recruit 2 people to qualify for Spillover, and the network is scaling quickly, around 300 to 400 new users daily. That said, it's crucial to remember there are no guarantees. Administrative functions exist, and returns depend entirely on how the network continues to grow. But when we weigh the risk against the entry cost, just $60, it's an intriguing possibility for those who are willing to stay informed and engaged.
All right, everybody, I'm back. Let's get into the saddle again. Make our way into these crypto streets and get the money. So gather around, ladies and gents, boys and girls, crypto freaks, all my money-making maniacs, DGen brothers and sisters, no matter your class, color, or creed, from Afghanistan all the way down to Zimbabwe. Come on, we're gonna talk about Bitcoin wealth and how to get paid in BTC on autopilot by way of a smart contract, right? So again, some of you guys have already heard of dApps, AKA smart contracts. And the thing is, they are not new to the crypto space, right? Relatively new, right? I think smart contracts kicked off with Ethereum back around 2017. So anyways, there is a BTC, but on Binance Smart Chain. So it's called BTCB, right? So the payouts that come from the matrix system, right? Which again is on another video. We did talk about this before, but of course the project is called Bitcoin Wealth, right? Now, I've been looking at this contract for the last couple of days, right? Since I hopped in a few days ago, about 3 days ago now, right? And to look at the transactions, right? Most of you guys know about BSC scan, right? Where we can look at the transactions that are taking place on any given blockchain. And in this case, BSC scan is for Binance Smart Chain transactions, okay? So let me refresh the page so you can see how fresh the activity of these BTCB payments that are being transacted, okay, by way of the smart contract and the automated functions that allow for people to get paid on autopilot, right? Directly into your wallet, right? You don't have to go in and withdraw from a platform. These payments are automated. And as you can see, 0.002, right? That's $129 currently, right? With the price of Bitcoin where it is right now. You can see other payments. Now that was, well, let me go back to that. That was a payment going out, meaning that it went out as a payment to this particular wallet, right? Now I can click on some of these things and show the different wallets and so on. I don't want to get thrown off track right now for the purposes of the video. I want to try and, bring everything into a relatively tight package, right? So, but again, we're first starting out here so you can see the blockchain and the activity is as active as just within the past minute, okay? 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 9 minutes, 12 minutes, a very active contract, right? So in saying that, the growth of this contract has been for about 3.5 months, right? It's exploding, right? In Asia and in Africa. Those regions, for whatever reason, is where this is starting to pick up, or where it really began to pick up, right? Now it's now starting to make its way out into other areas, right? Whether it's the United States, whether it's Europe, whether we're talking about, other places, maybe South America, right? Latin speaking countries. So let me bring this off to the side and bring up, let's just show real quick with BTC, right? Now Bitcoin is at $64,581 currently, right? And you can see these peaks and valleys, right? Ultimately, these are time periods where at a certain point in October, things took off for Bitcoin, right? This was back in around 2017, right? In mid-November, It exploded and went up to, I think, $20,000. Around here, this was around 2022. It exploded up to I think $60,000 or so. Yeah, sorry, this page is loading kind of slow for me right now. But at any rate, so this was once again in around November. It started making its way up, as you can see, just obviously prior to that. But that was in 2021, right? And then, of course, here we've got another peak that took off last year, right? And again, this peak exploded once again in September, October. Now, those in between those maybe was a year or two, but on that time period, it exploded up out of the gate. So could it be that Bitcoin explodes once again past its all-time high, right? For a new all-time high, you can see it's pretty big increases from the all-time highs, right? From 20,000 to what this was like 60,000, something like that, 64,000 maybe. And again, this one got up to 120. I think it got to 125. I'm not finding it exactly on this chart here, but just to make the point that we're at an accumulation point, right? We're down here in one of these valleys right now, currently. If we come all the way over here, we're in a valley getting ready to explode out, right? Will it be this year, right? The Bitcoin takes off. Will it be 2026 or will it be 2027? Regardless, we do want to collect and accumulate as much BTC as possible, right? Now, let me show you the actual system, right? It's interesting. It is, I want to say again, something that with all things, there comes risk, right? And so just to preface, well, we're already this far in the video, but it should go without saying that these platforms, they all come with an inherent amount of risk, right? I'm not a financial advisor, but I am taking part, right? And I like to showcase and document my journeys, my, you know what I mean? Sometimes misfortunes, but at any rate, I've been able to change my life through crypto for sure, right? Now, again, it isn't guaranteed to happen to everyone that gets involved with crypto, but if you have a strategy and you're persistent, it is possible to succeed, right? But you must be aware that there, again, are certain levels of risk that need to be considered, right? Now, the reason I like this platform so much that is it's only 0.001 Bitcoin. With right now, Bitcoin being at $64,000, that's just $64 for the entry into this system, right? So that's, you know, not much, right? For some people, $60 is a lot when you think as an investment, but for the trade-off, the risk to reward trade-off is impressive, right? Because we can earn almost, I think, actually up to 60 Bitcoin if we cycle through all of the matrices, right? How do you say it? So the matrices, they have, again, well, let's start with slot one, which is going to be cycle one, right? Or rather, well, cycle one, you actually get to repeat and recycle. But once you make it through to position 4 and 5, you actually then get a paid position into the next level. Okay, so I don't want to overcomplicate the way that this thing breaks down, but with regard to the placement, it's a very intelligent smart contract, right? Now, the developers, from what I understand, they're anonymous. And hey, you get that in the crypto space with a lot of contracts that, well, oftentimes, again, for the purposes of, you know, whether or not they are on the up and up, but they want to keep their privacy, to keep the chaos, the potential chaos, whether good or bad, right? Because a lot of times when these things are fantastic and everyone's having a good time, then they want to, well, shine the spotlight on the creator, right? And whoever developed it. But with all that said, the developer of this particular contract, from what I understand, is not known, right? Maybe within the certain higher leadership they know, but as with regard to the community, we don't know who created the contract, but it is, like I said, something that has been done before, and there have been smart contracts that have been very successful, like Forsage, for example. A lot of you guys have heard of Forsage, which launched back in about 2019 and made, I think over $200 million worth of Ethereum ran through the system over the course of the about 2 years that it functioned. And it still lives on the Ethereum blockchain where it initially launched. And then they actually migrated over to Tron because Ethereum got too expensive, the gas fees and so forth, which caused a huge loss in momentum for that particular platform, as with a lot of different projects when Ethereum got too expensive for gas fees. But anyways, rambling on, it was successful. Okay, it had a lot of success in bringing people, for one, into the crypto space and learning how to interact with smart contracts, right? Using a wallet, a dApp, browser wallet as it's known. So anyways, again, so how it works is position 1 or 2, these are actually gateway positions, because without having position 1 and 2 placed, right? Having someone who's come in under your contribution position of, again, 0.001 Ethereum, or I'm sorry, that's Forsage. Bitcoin, right? So BTCB, once you've got the first position and the second position underneath you full, then you are entitled to receive payments as spillover from either your upline or your downline, right? Now, there isn't a easy way to explain the logic, but the system of who qualifies, who's eligible, and who isn't is how a lot of the inner workings of the contracts, system logs, and things that get triggered will be determined by people who are eligible versus people who are not. Because obviously, they want to discourage people from just coming in and paying, the $60 roughly that it is to join, and then just sitting back and letting everyone else fill your pockets, right? At the very least, the creators are asking that a person who's serious would at least get 2 other people in. 2 other people is it, right? You don't have to grow a big team. You can even pay for those 2 positions for position 1 and 2 to then clear the runway for spillover free payments. Again, as you can see, all these in orange, right, are positions that will automatically get paid to you. And then there are other situations, again, with spillover, where payments will come to you by way of just the way that is who gets paid out, who's eligible and who's not. All right, so let's move on. So again, the cycle happens, and then the subsequent cycles after that, once you hit the 14th position, you recycle back into that same level, right, to continue to receive the payouts. And those payouts at level 1 are a payout of 0.001, as you might imagine, right? Because those payments are moving either into the contract, call it a treasury or reserves, where other payments get held so that they can be used. Let me come up to the 4th position and 5th position. So for the 4th and 5th position, the contract holds reserves because there's actually $67,000 of BTCB in the contract currently right now, which I'll show in a second. But what happens is when position 1 or 4 and 5 are filled by way of that 0.001 payment, at least at level 1, then once it's triggered again in position 5 here, when someone fills that slot in your matrix, then you move to the next level. Okay, so let's not overcomplicate that. That's how each of the 12 levels will move. Okay, and you actually, as you recycle after your first cycle, there's something that happens in position 4 and 5 that's a bit different, but regardless, just to keep things simple for now on the purpose of the video, how you graduate up to the next levels, right, is having your 4th and 5th position filled. And you don't even have to have the other positions filled after that to move up to the next level. So it's not like you have to fill 14 positions before you can get to the next level. It's actually the fourth and fifth, which are held reserve payments by the contract to pay for your next entry, right? As you can see, the auto entry and all of these auto entries, these are included by way of the, well, when I say included, but they are activated by way of the contracts code. Okay, so I actually also did have my ChatGPT, right? I have a custom version of ChatGPT that that I use on occasion, and I had it go through this system and look at the transactions that were taking place on the contract and so forth. But at any rate, I do want to, when I bring that up about having it analyzed by, AI, it isn't a guarantee, right? Despite the positive praise that it gave the smart contract and the fact that it shows that the system is working as per the call functions of the contract. But again, you don't want to come in with an expectation that you're most definitely going to earn 32 Bitcoin just by putting in $60, right? This is kind of in a sense, this is your own business in a way that, by bringing people in, whether you build a website and that you educate people on how a system like this works, and they use your referral, and then you're doing more work than a person who's just joined the platform and put in $60 and they're just waiting for spillover. That enters them in position. You pay for that position into the matrix, probably better sooner than later at a higher position in the matrix. Because so far there are about 18,000 activated registrations, right? So then those may be sometimes individuals who've bought multiple positions as an individual, or buying for their family, or whatever the case. But that is how many wallets are active and have registered into the system. Okay. But with that said, as I said, it's growing in a lot of African and Asian regions. This is a Zoom call where they effectively talked a bit about they did essentially an overview like I'm doing. I'll play a little bit of it.
So when we say we are shifting power back, meaning sometimes, somewhere along the way in the past, people have lost the power of Bitcoin. Bitcoin came with an extraordinary power. Go to history,
let's say in Bitcoin, if you start with 1 Bitcoin and you double it over 12 series, not 12 years, 12 series, right? Let's say 1 month you double, next month you double, the next month you.
Okay, so the point that I'm making is, again, that particular Zoom was held by leaders that are based in African regions and also Asian regions like the Philippines and so on. Okay, so very interesting to see how over the last 3.5 months or so that this thing has been picking up momentum. And right now there are about 400 to 500 at this stage when I'm making this video, 400 or 500 new registry per day. Okay, so this is growing pretty fast, right? Basically about 1,500 every 3 days or so. Okay, so that's a lot of incoming people, and it's really starting to pick up, as you can imagine, critical mass, right? Critical momentum. The platform itself, and again, this is the payouts here for the income. I'm just showing that because he was showing that on that Zoom call. I'm actually going to also upload one of their Zooms. So if you do want to see that Zoom in full, it'll be up on my channel. If you've made it to this point in the video, I'll be sure to have that posted so people can watch some of the other original leaders who've gotten involved with this that are running Zooms. And a lot of this is growing on messaging apps like WhatsApp and other things. So there aren't really many YouTube. I'm really one of the few who I've seen making content for Bitcoin Wealth. So it's my pleasure to be able to present for people how this thing works, and that, well, it seems as though it is viable, because of course those transactions, they are getting paid out. I've studied the contract. In fact, I'll bring up my ChatGPT just to make the point, because again, we've been studying the contract over the last couple of days. So let me have it explain to you in short what's been going on. So Echo, I am doing the video right now for Bitcoin Wealth as a recap and update. And I wanted you to give just a brief summary of why you were excited about it. While of course you can, also point out the caveats, but the risk to reward ratio is pretty attractive.
Absolutely. So what excites me about Bitcoin Wealth is that it's a transparent on-chain system. We can actually track user growth, payment flows, and how the contract operates. The mechanics are working as advertised. You need to recruit 2 people to qualify for Spillover, and the network is scaling quickly, around 300 to 400 new users daily. That said, it's crucial to remember there are no guarantees. Administrative functions exist, and returns depend entirely on how the network continues to grow. But when we weigh the risk against the entry cost, just $60, it's an intriguing possibility for those who are willing to stay informed and engaged.
All right, so again, just a quick recap of what this is. So I'll show here the system, or the UI, right? Kind of behind the curtain. And this is what it looks like. In fact, I'll log out so that you can see from the sign in, which will also be your registration, right? So by using a link, of course, you have to use a link to get in. So, by all means, if you are wanting to show some support and you want to use my link, right, that's very much appreciated, and an easy way to show support for the content and so forth, for bringing this to the attention of people. And again, fingers crossed for everybody, right? Again, nothing makes me happier than to see other people, or that I've been able to play a part in other people being able to succeed, in particular with improving their financial wealth, even if only, briefly, just to get a taste of it so you can see the possibilities. But again, this is the login. You can log in with your DApp wallet. I recommend using Rabby wallet, and of course, your Rabby wallet will allow you to connect directly by way of an extension, right? So once you log into the site, you hit connect, it'll bring up Rabby wallet, and then that allows you to send in your payment to the platform, make the approval for the payment, and send in accordingly, right? I recommend for people, if you have no, let's say, crypto in the game, or you haven't really ever transacted using crypto, using a website called Swap Space, for example, right? This will allow you to, from even using your Apple Pay card, you can use a debit card or Apple Pay to get crypto into a wallet, right? So I would recommend getting your Rabby wallet, and then, of course, taking down your seed phrase, your 12 seed phrase, 12 word seed phrase, and then using your, I don't know why this thing won't come up. It's dragging a little bit here. I think I got too much going on. But anyways, yeah, there we go. So we'll decline the cookies. We don't need any extra lag. But this is a site that will allow you to use, again, Google Pay, Apple Pay, Visa, MasterCard, and you just basically follow the prompt on screen. And this is another way to send also to, if you have Bitcoin or Ethereum and you want to bridge, and you will need to bridge. In that case, if you wanted to use, let's say, XRP or something that has its own blockchain, you can use a site like this to bridge over into the appropriate destination wallet. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. There is a link for SwapSpace as well in the description box there below. All right, so for those of you guys who are wanting to do that. Now, again, once this is here on the registration page, it will take you to, in fact, all right, guys, so let me bring up here over on Telegram. I wanted to show, I think I have my link posted here. Let me scroll up. We've got other projects that we're working with in the portfolio. Yeah, it's been a couple of days since I put my video out for, yeah, here we go. So if you click on the link, this will bring you to the registration page. And as you can see, this is actually my registration. The 15484 is my registration ID, right? And so this is the amount of BTC, right, that it's going to take 0.001 to activate your matrix position, right? Now it's saying that I've got this wallet already registered because it is already registered, right? So again, for those of you guys who do want to, get started, this is how you get done. This is how it gets done, right? So again, like I said, you can bridge over using something like SwapSpace, which will take you over, will take fiat from even Apple Pay into a crypto, essentially exchange, a gateway, an on-ramp, and then that can land in your Rabby wallet. And then once it's in your Rabby wallet, you can there convert it into BTCB. You can even do BTCB here, right? So if I wanted to do USD into, let's say on Binance Smart Chain, we're going to do BTCB. And so there you see, right? So that's Bitcoin on Binance. Now it's showing that there's not an exchange for this, so that may be, right? But I would say probably the easiest thing is to send USDT on Binance Smart Chain. And then you can for sure swap inside of Rabby wallet to get BTCB, all right? So, but there you go, all right? So again, now it is gonna be a little bit of a hit, right? If you go through these exchanges, you can see where they are gonna take quite a fee. That's the unfortunate thing about going from fiat into these crypto streets, right? Is that, these payment gateways, they want to get their cut. So, to avoid that, but you can't really avoid it, but once you start making crypto on the blockchain, then you can avoid, these types of swap fees, right? Fees are very inexpensive. For example, it only costs probably less than half of a penny to transact. So let me log in. I'll log in and I'll show you what the login process looks like once you're already in, right? So again, this wallet is already registered to the smart contract. All I've got to do is just go ahead and sign in, and that will bring up my account. And then there I am, boom, all of my information. And then you can see, right, that I've got 2 partners in position 1 and 2, those 2 positions on my matrix of the 14 positions are where I am right now, right? So again, this thing, it isn't, because again, I've already been in 3 days, and my 3rd position, which is a payment to me, hasn't yet occurred. But I'm very positive, for one, either that I will put someone in that position myself, or that spillover from my upline or below me, in the cases of my upline's people, or even other people just that have nothing to do with my tree, my matrix tree, payments get sent up as well as down, right? So anyways, though, but again, this is the payout schedule, as you can see, or in terms of the direction. But yeah, you can read through all that and see. We've already talked about it for the most part, right? But that is it in a nutshell, right? That is how you get going with Bitcoin wealth, right? The risk to reward for turning $60, as you heard straight from ChatGPT, that the potential for earnings is astronomical, right? In comparison to what the one-time investment or contribution, shall we say, to the cause. So that is Bitcoin Wealth, aka Vow or VOW Unity, VOW Unity, because that's the name of the site, anyways, that they're using. But yeah, that's it, guys. All right, so I will, of course, people who want to hop into this thing, if you want to contact me on Telegram, I will be around over there on Telegram. You can hit me up and we can discuss, any questions that you might have, as well as, again, if you need assistance with how to get started or just in general questions that, like myself, I wasn't very clear on a lot of things. But ultimately, we've been able to do the investigative work here and see that the contract does live and breathe. Very, very, very active and frequent transactions, as you can see here, are coming in, and people are getting paid out. Again, $129 on that payment. Again, all the other ones here for 0.001, that's like $65 each of those payments. You'll see payments of 0.004, but fewer of those because we have fewer people. The ones who hopped in sooner or are stronger builders are the ones that are starting to receive some of the higher payments, like this one here. This is for like $258 for the payout on that one. Okay, so on and on. That's it. Okay, but ultimately, Bitcoin Wealth is working, right? And I'm very curious to see what the growth will be, because $200 million is a lot of money, which Forsage was able to generate before smart contracts were even very popular at all, right? So, there's a lot more people on chain these days. So we may see some explosive growth, especially since this has already taken place in the Asia market and the African market, right? The Asian market and African market. So, all right, that's it. Are you in? Are you out? Are you watching from the sidelines to watch the glory and mayhem? Either way, we'll see you guys on the next video real soon. All right, talk to you guys then. Peace.